So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day, another tip, another idea, another trick, something that's going to help you make changes in your life to lose all the weight that you want and keep it off for the rest of your life. Now today, I'm on a little bit of a rant. I just got back from my run, haven't done my hair, probably pretty stinky and need to have a shower, but I just sat down on my computer and started, I scrolled through a little bit of news and I saw an article. And then I started reading a bit more about it, and then I watched the show that the article came from. And I want to talk about that today because some of these things grind my gears, and the attitude of certain people in the media particularly, they send everybody down a ridiculous path when it comes to being healthy. So I want to talk about the TV show The Project. Now, I watched the segment today, and I've got to call out my bias on The Project. I think it is the most pathetic, worthless show that's getting around. I mean, they don't talk about any meaningful topics. They just sort of go from place to place and sit around the table, hold hands and sing Kumbaya and try and not offend anybody in the whole world, right? That's what the show is all about. It's quite empty, but anyway, this episode that I just had to call out my bias because I want to be really clear, I'm not a fan at all of that show. But the reason that I want to talk about it is because they just ran a segment where they spoke about, it's almost like, wouldn't call it a debate because there was no debate, everyone was on the same team, but it was a discussion around body positivity versus being healthy and obesity. And so it was this round table, they called it. And so the people they got in for this roundtable discussion was, the only one I actually know is Michelle Bridges. So Michelle Bridges is a health and fitness person, a personal trainer who's become very popular through her business and through her TV show when she was on The Biggest Loser. And then there was two body positivity activists, and then there was a doctor. And then I think her name's Sarah Harris. I'm not sure, she was running the meeting. Anyway, so they had this discussion around this table about lots of different aspects of all of these things. And the overriding sort of feeling of this discussion was people are overweight, or maybe not they're overweight, but they feel crappy about being overweight because of media, social media, views of other people. And that's why they sort of are where they are. And they believe, the activist side of things, believe that they should be treated exactly the same as everybody else. And I'm a believer that everyone should be treated fairly and with respect and everything like that. So I don't have a problem with that part. Where I started to have some real struggles was the approach that was taken in this discussion. So it was called out that 67% of Australia is either overweight or obese. That is an enormous, we're talking the better part of 3/4 of Australia is overweight. I talk about 70% sort of number all the time. There's an enormous obesity problem in this country, enormous. And we don't address the issue too often, and even less so now because everyone gets offended, right? I think someone in the media coined once, it's the perpetually alarmed. The amount of comments I get on my social media, adverts that I run on Facebook where people are getting upset with anything that I say it's ridiculous. It drives me crazy, but everyone is offended. All the time, everyone is offended. And that was kind of the theme of this discussion. But the problem is being offended doesn't get us anywhere. It just gets us offended and upset. And being upset and offended doesn't make us feel any better or better about our situation. The two body positivity activists on here were both heavily overweight, and the frustration I have is they're pushing an agenda that being overweight like that is okay, and you can be, what was the word they used? You can be fat and fit. That is just not accurate. It's just not accurate. And that's not to say these people are bad people or anything like that, but to make those sort of comments is actually really damaging for the younger generation who are trying to figure it all out, particularly, and they're being told now in the media that it's all good. If you're 30 kilos overweight, just love where you're at, love your body, love who you are. I'm not saying you shouldn't love yourself, but we've got to be healthy, otherwise your life will be a lot shorter than what it potentially could be. So being healthy is extremely important, and it's not about, getting into your smaller size jeans or particularly how you look in the mirror. That is important as well, but it is about the health of the inside of your body. And when we are overweight, we are not healthy. That is it. Now, the doctor on the panel, very soft options, all of them, they're all very careful with the words that they said. So the doctor on the panel who deals with this stuff all the time, he was asked the question specifically, can you be fat and fit? And he goes, I have to be very careful how I answer this. No, you don't. You cannot be fat and fit. That's just not a thing. And that's okay. It's not a criticism. It's just a fundamental fact that if we can't be healthy while we're overweight. Everything else turns to crap. And he was talking about, if you don't have, he said this comment, which was really disturbing. He said, if all your markers are okay, right? All your markers are okay, like your cholesterol and your blood pressure and that sort of stuff, then you just need to stay where you are. Even if you're overweight, just stay where you are. And I talk to people all the time who are 140, 150, 160 kilos. And a number of them tell me, the doctor told me that, I'm really lucky because my heart rate's good and my blood pressure's okay and so I'm okay. But that doesn't mean you're not gonna have other issues in your body, your joints and your back and other problems, and suddenly just have a heart attack because your poor body's working so hard to function. So that sort of language from a doctor is frankly absurd, but everyone's so scared to say the actual truth of what's happening. When we are overweight, we are not healthy. That's okay. We can get healthy, and everybody can get healthy. Now, the other discussion that I struggled with here was one of the activists was talking about how I can't have a body like that person, or I can't have something that they have, which takes away their total and utter responsibility for where they're at. That statement is utter garbage. We can be who we want to be. We can be a healthy weight if we want to be a healthy weight. Does it take effort? Does it take consistency? Absolutely it does. Absolutely it takes effort. You got to get up earlier in the morning, you got to move, you got to eat the right food, and you got to do the right stuff. But there's no one forcing McDonald's down our throats. There's no one forcing us to eat the food that we put in our mouths. So to start putting blame on anything or anybody else but ourselves is a really dumb thing to do. Because by not taking responsibility, we just end up being a victim. We sit in this place and we try to blame everybody else. And now the discussion is, it's everyone else's fault that I feel crappy about myself. That's the discussion that's happening now, and that's what this project discussion was about. And it was just so disturbing to me that this is where we're all going with it. In that now you can't even talk about people being overweight. It's almost offensive to talk about people being overweight. Another thing that happened in this discussion was that the doctor was asked that question, as I mentioned before, but he said, it needs to be about health, which I agreed with that part. But he said there are so many amazing medications and drugs that are available. I almost punched a hole in the screen. Like, you cannot be serious. And I want to grab that doctor and shake him and say, listen, mate, these people put the weight on with food that they put in their mouths. I don't believe anybody wakes up in the morning and go, I want to gain weight today. That doesn't happen. But we made decisions every day. We make decisions every day that impact us, that cause our bodies to grow or cause our bodies to shrink. That's what happens. And for him to use drugs are the key, drugs are the go-to, says to me very clearly that this man does not know anything at all about nutrition. Nothing. Otherwise, he wouldn't recommend any of these drugs. Because as you can see, if you want to know a bit more about some of those drugs or the surgeries or anything like that, listen to some of the other videos or podcasts that I've done on each individual one. Or you can search up the side effects online. I can talk about it for hours and hours because I talk to people all day, every day about the challenges that they have in losing weight. And doctors prescribing drugs is flat out ridiculous. They should teach them the right foods to eat, because the right foods to eat will get you to where you want to be, healthy in our bodies. You know what? Doctors go, bang, pill, bang, pill. You've got high cholesterol, pill, high this, high that, pill, 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 pill. As soon as you eat right, cholesterol drops, heart rate drops, blood pressure drops, blood sugars drop every single time, every time. So these discussions from doctors are super counterproductive. And, I deal with the people at the back end after they've tried 50 different things from doctors. So I think we need to be able to have honest, open conversations about the challenges that we have in this country. With your children, with your friends, we've got to be able to talk about the challenge that is 70% of Australia being overweight. Now, nobody will say it on TV, but I talk to other doctor friends of mine and they're like, it's a massive problem because people come in who are overweight and there's so many more complications you have to deal with in the hospital if they've got a serious illness. It's much harder, much, much harder to manage that. And there's much more prevalence of serious illness if you're overweight. So why do I want to talk about this? I want to talk about this because I think there's too much around people starting to believe their own hype about body positivity. Yes, it's important to love who we are, to love ourselves. And I don't believe that our weight should be intrinsically connected to our view of ourselves as a human being. We are so much more than the shape of our bodies, right? We are so much more inbuilt than the shape of our bodies. However, the shape of our bodies will dictate whether we are healthy inside or not, and whether we can perform the tasks that we want to perform. And so many people who act like they're really happy and they're pushing this body positivity movement are not happy at all. Because I talk to people all the time. Like I literally spend sometimes 6, 7, or 8 hours a day on the phone talking to people who are overweight. And so in talking to people about this stuff, most of them are not happy. And they even tell me they put on a show. They try to be funny, but then to get through the process of what they're dealing with. But they're not happy. The only way you can fix that is not to imagine yourself in the situation that you are and just try and think yourself happy. It's to change the situation. If I'm not happy with something in my life, I need to change. I need to change it, do something different so I get the thing that I need that's going to help me feel better about where I'm at. Doesn't matter what it is in life. But we can't just take the project's view of sit around and talk a bunch of word soup about how there's an obesity crisis in Australia and just talk about how we all must be lovely and kind and gentle with each other. Yes, we should all be those things. We have to be honest as well. And we have to help each other to be healthy. And so I've got my little crew. I think I told you a little while ago, I've got a few of my friends and they're all working together on losing weight. And they're all doing awesome. But we talk super honestly in this little group and we help each other out and encourage each other to make sure that they're getting the weight loss that they need to lose. And everybody can do that with each other. There was a couple of other things I wanted to quickly mention. One of that doctor as well said the language needs to be that we have that food sometimes as a treat. This is also a problem. So having a mentality that chocolate or ice cream or is a treat is no good. It might have been good 30 years ago when nobody really went to McDonald's very often at all, unless it was as a family, we might have gone as I was a kid, once a month or something like that, because we didn't have the money to do that. People spend so much more money on takeaway food now than they ever did before. So it's not, you can't just view things as a treat. That whole mentality that that's a treat puts that status of that chocolate higher than the actual good treat food, which is healthy food. The treat for our bodies is healthy food. Right? Now people might think that's boring. That's cool. You make your own choices. It's fine. But we can't have a mentality that chocolate is a treat. If we have a mentality that chocolate is a treat, our body is going to desire it more and more and more because our brain is an obedient computer and will believe whatever we choose to tell it. If we tell it that chocolate is the greatest thing on earth, but I can only have it every once in a while, it's going to believe it's the greatest thing on earth. So we determine what happens up here, and our body is that obedient computer. It'll do whatever we want it to do. And so referring to chocolate as a treat, I don't believe is ideal at all, or some sort of crappy food as a treat is not a great thing. You can have it every once in a while, but that's a good thing every once in a while. But the last thing that was a bit concerning to me is after this session that they had of kumbaya around the table where nobody said anything and everyone just wanted to make sure everybody else was really happy and comfortable in the situation. So they all said nothing to offend nobody. It went back to Waleed, my favourite reporter, and he said, we must just listen to the doctors. What? Why? Why must we listen to the doctors when it comes to obesity? The doctors are telling us to open our stomachs and staple our stomachs so you cut off 80% of your stomach. That's what the doctors are telling us. The doctors are telling us that we should take drugs to lose weight. Why? Food put it on. Why can't we eat the right food to take it off again? That we need some miracle thing because we are actually broken. Doctors are telling us that we have no control over our own minds and our own bodies. Doctors are telling us that we can't do it by ourselves, that we need medical intervention, this fancy medical intervention. Why? Why? We're not 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago, there was nowhere near the obesity crisis that there is now. It's food. Food is it. Food is the problem. But doctors want us to take drugs simply because, I don't know, do they get a cut of commissions? I don't really know what the fascination with taking drugs is. I'm not sure if they get a cut of commissions or they just don't know any better. Now, there are some doctors who are terrific, by the way, so I'm not trying to bag all doctors, but anyone who prescribes this stuff needs to have a look at themselves and make some changes, frankly, because that stuff doesn't help anybody. We need to eat good food, plenty of it. You don't need to count calories. You don't need to weigh and measure anything. You don't need shakes or pills or potions or anything. Everything you need is from Coles and Woolies. But the thing that you can't get from Coles and Woolies is what goes on between our ears. And it's the consistency that we need to show every day if we want to lose weight and keep it off for the rest of our lives. You can absolutely do it. The lady that was on the project show who said that she couldn't be healthy like everyone else. She couldn't have a body like someone else. They're not exactly her words. I'm not trying to quote her. But that was the effect of what she was saying, is that I couldn't do it. So it's completely and utterly factually incorrect. Everybody can do it. But we have to make the choice that that's what we want. And we have to make decisions to go after it without sitting in our place as a victim and blaming everybody else for the way that we feel or the way that we look or the weight that we are. We can't do that if we want success in life. And not just in weight loss, in anything. So I'm going to get out of here because I'm going to have a shower and do something with this hair. But thanks for joining me today. And I want you to go away believing that you can be whoever you want to be. And when it comes to weight, you can be a healthy weight for the rest of your life. And you know what? When you eat good food and you're a healthy weight, you'll feel 100 times better than what you do when you're eating crap food and you're not a healthy weight. Go get it. Make sure you make good decisions. Eat good food. We'll talk soon.